Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to make this hoodie. It nearly looks like a little coat for babies. So anything from 0 to 12 months, I will have the chart that you can follow to make the size that you want it for. Okay, so 0 to 3, 3 to 6, 6 to 9, and 9 to 12 months. As you can see, it is very colorful because we are doing the color changes or adding a new color in. So every every second or third row, whichever way you look at it. Okay, so as you can see, that creates that little pattern right here. Now for the very beginners that have not made a lot of clothing, I would suggest you perhaps think about if you want to make this, because it is quite difficult. It is time consuming. The most difficult part in it is the sleeves right here, because you might get quite confused. I will try to do my best and go very slow and explain the sleeves very well, but if you're a very beginner, you might find this difficult. Other than that, it is time consuming. There is a lot of tails because there are a lot of colors involved. We have a hood right here with a little string if you want. We have buttons on little loops right here. And we have sleeves that roll back like that. So this one that I'm showing is a size 3 to 6 months, and I have used up my leftover yarn for this. I have approximately 10 colors, I believe, in this one. So it's very colorful and bright. Now this is a size 6 to 9 months. Again, a lot of leftovers, a bit more boys colors, greens, blues, yellows, and a little bit of gray. Very cute. The same kind of work involved in it is just a little bit bigger in every way to fit a bigger baby. Again, a lot of colors. I have used up my leftovers for this one. The biggest size is the 9 to 12 months. This is for that size baby. This one only has 2 colors in it, white and dark gray, and it still looks very interesting, just like that. And the smallest one is this one right here, 0 to 3 months. I have used 3 colors for it, light pink, bright pink, and white. And as you can see, because white and light pink are very similar, kind of not standing out, you cannot see the color change row in between them. They kind of blend in very well. So if you would like a bit more effective look, you should probably choose the colors that are really different, that go together. Okay, so just like here you can see dark pink, you can see the light pink in between and the white, but this one in between white and light pink is kind of blending in together. Anyway, completely up to you how many colors you want, what size you're making. This is what you will get, this kind of shape and a lot of colors. Now if I got you interested in it, let's go on and have a look of what we are going to need. Again, there will be a lot of tails involved. It is time consuming, but it is very cute. So just like that. Again, if you want to make it with me, let's go on and have a look of what we are going to need for it. Okay, so to make this baby hoodie, you're going to need at least 4 buttons. You can have more if you like. It's completely up to you. I have these 4 heart-shaped wooden buttons. Make sure your buttons are not too small. I would recommend at least 2 centimeters in diameter. So like this. Then 4 stitch markers, very important. A needle. Again, we are going to have a lot of tails, so definitely a good needle that is comfortable for you. A measuring tape in centimeters. My chart is in centimeters, so it will be much easier if you have one like this, so you don't have to do any kind of converting into inches or whatever. So anything that you have to measure. A pair of scissors. If you have a piece of paper and a pen, this will come in very, very handy for the sleeves. And then let's have a talk about yarn. Now, in total, we're going to need approximately 200 grams of yarn and a minimum of 2 colors. Now, the more colors you are going to use, the less of each color you are going to need. So these colors are going to be my main hoodie, and I will probably do a dark purple edging on it. I'm not quite sold on this color, so I might have to change it. But for the main hoodie, so I have these 4 colors. So approximately I only need about 50 grams of each to finish it off. Now, if you're only going to use 2 colors, you are going to need 100 grams of each color. Again, colors are completely up to you. Now, I am going to use a DK weight yarn or double knitting. So this is right here. In other words, this is lightweight 3 yarn. Okay, any kind of lightweight 3 yarn that you have is going to be fine. As you can see, I have all 4 different brands here. Ice Yarn, Stop Value, this is Aldi Yarn, and this is Knitting Essentials. So different brands, but technically, weight-wise, they are all exactly the same thickness of all of them. All of them are approximately 300 meters in 100 gram skein. So these are the 4 colors I have chosen for the main hoodie. Again, you can choose as many or as little colors as you want. 2 are the minimum of it. Okay, so I have talked about that, and we can go on and get started on our hoodie. Okay, to start, grab one of your colors of choice. I have this yellow to start. Have your measuring tape and 4 stitch markers nearby, and we're gonna have a look of what I have right here. Okay, so this is the age 0 to 3, 3 to 6 months, 6 to 9, and 9 to 12 months, and this is how long our starting chain should be for each of these ages. So I will be making a 3 to 6 months size, and my starting chain should be approximately 34 centimeters in length. Now, I'm not gonna do any shorter than this. I do have to reach my 34 centimeters. If it is a little bit longer, I do not mind, but not shorter than this. Then we're gonna have a look at this side, at the 4 squares that I have right here. So the number in the very middle of each square is the number of chains, and we're gonna have to find which of these 4 numbers of chains is going to be the closest to the length of the starting chain that we need. Okay, so let's start chaining. Make a slip knot and start chaining. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'm going to first make 45 chains, and I will measure that. If that is approximately 34 centimeters long, if it is too short for me, I'm gonna go for 51 chain, or for 57, or for 63, until I reach my length. So I'm gonna do 45 first, and I'll come back and we can measure it together. I have chained 45, and now I'm going to measure. So place your very first chain to the beginning of your measuring tape and just give it a tiny little pull, not too much, just to stretch it out a little bit. So I'm approximately at 27 centimeters in length. I need 34, so this is way too short for me. I'm gonna try 51 chains, so I have 45, 46, 7, 8, 9, 50, 51. I measure this again. Okay, I'm approximately at 30 and a half, 31. I need 34, so still too short. I'm gonna try 57, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, and 57 chains. I'm gonna measure that again, and if I give it a tiny little pull, I'm right here at 34 centimeters. just a tiny little bit. Don't stretch it too much because you can stretch it all the way to, I don't know, 40 centimeters or something. Just a tiny little bit. So I'm at 34 centimeters. This is enough. So I have 57 chains to start. Okay, so for row 1, whatever number of chains you got, you are going to follow the numbers around that square. So I got 57 chains, so I'm going to follow the numbers around the square that has a 57 in it. Now, if this 63 chains was not enough for you, write me in the comments and I will give you the next numbers for the bigger amount of chains if you need that. Okay, so to start row 1, everybody needs to add an extra chain. So chain 1, you're gonna skip the first 2 chains, chain 1 and chain 2. Into the chain 3 we put a double crochet. Now those 2 chains that we have skipped in the front right here counts as 1 double crochet, and I just made my second one. I need 7 in total, this number right here, so this right here. Okay, so I have 7. Made 2 into the next chain. This is 3, next chain, 4, next chain, 5, 6 and 7 double crochets, including the chain 2 in the very beginning. So grab one of your stitch markers. We have our first corner. Into the next chain we're going to put 3 double crochets. So the next chain, 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets and 3 double crochets, all in the same chain. Now what you want to do, we want to mark our second stitch from the hook. So do not count the loop that is on the hook. Look right behind it. So this is first one after and this is the second one after. And just mark that this is going to be a corner again in our next row. So stitch 1 and stitch 2. Next, we're going to look up the number on the side right here. So this is where our sleeves are going to be, and I have 11 double crochets. Starting from the next chain, I start counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11 double crochets. Next up is our second corner right here. Into the next chain we put 3 double crochets. This is 1, into the same chain 2, and into the same chain 3 double crochets. Again, grab a marker and mark your second stitch from the hook. So again, do not count the loop that is on the hook. 1 and 2, second stitch. Now the next part that we are going to do right now is the back of the neck right here. So I have 17 double crochets. Again, you look up what's on your square. Starting from the next chain, I start counting. 1, 2, 3, and keep going until you have this number of double crochets. So I have made my 17 double crochets. Then it is our third corner. Into the next chain we put 3 double crochets. 1, 2 and 3. Grab your stitch marker and mark stitch number 2. 1 and 2. Again, we have the next shoulder or the sleeve, the number right here. It is the same as the other side. So I have 11 double crochets, and it's 1, 2, 3, and keep going until you have this number of double crochets. I have my 11 double crochets. Our very last corner, into the next chain we put 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Mark stitch number 2, 1 and 2. And if we have counted everything correctly, we should have this number of double crochets or chains left. So I should have 7 double crochets starting from the next chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So we have just finished row 1, and it is a solid color row. If you need to have a look, have a good look. I will have this the picture of this chart posted on my Facebook page if you need to have a better look. But we do not need this anymore. We can start with row number 2. Grab your next color and we can start that one. So row 2 is going to be the row where we start changing our colors in every double crochet. So to start the 2 color row, you're going to chain 1 and turn. Have your next color nearby. So first of all, you're going to yarn over in the same color. Go into that very first stitch right under the chain 1. Grab your yarn, pull it out. You have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through 2 loops only. We need to finish this double crochet with the new color. So grab your other color. I have this mint green. I'm not gonna do any slip knots or anything. I'm just gonna leave the tail hanging down like this, and I'm just gonna finish this double crochet with the new color. So I just pulled through the last 2 loops in the new color. Now what you want to do is you want to have your tail and the color that you have used before, so yellow for me, at the bottom or on top of the next stitch. We want to crochet over them. Yarn over in your new color, go into the next stitch, catch your yarn, pull it out. You have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through 2 loops and stop. Now again, you need to finish this double crochet with the color that you had before, so yellow for me. Drop that color, pick up your next one and pull through the 2 loops like this. Now if you need, once in a while, give it a little pull so it is nice and snug, those double crochets together. Now I'm gonna drop my tail. I'm not gonna crochet over it anymore. So yarn over, go into the next stitch. So I have the green on the top of my next stitch. I'm gonna pull that out. I have 3 loops. Yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and give it a little pull. Swap your 2 colors and finish this double crochet in the other color. Again, yarn over into the next stitch. You have 3 loops. Yarn over, pull through 2 and stop. Drop this color, pick up the next one and finish it like this. And keep going into the next stitch. Halfway through the stitch, you drop that color and pick up the next one and finish it. Yarn over into the next stitch and keep going like that until you hit your first stitch marker. Okay, so just like that. Next stitch has my stitch marker in there, so I need to make 3 double crochets in that stitch, and I will still be changing those 2 colors around. So start your first double crochet, halfway through you stop, pick up your next color and finish that off. Yarn over into the same stitch. This is my second double crochet. I finish that with the other color, and my third double crochet. Halfway through I change again, and just like that. So you can see you have 1, 2, 3 double crochets in that same stitch. Get your stitch marker and mark your stitch number 2 from the hook. Stitch 1 and stitch 2. Then you keep going, changing your 2 colors around, making 1 double crochet into each stitch until you get to your next stitch marker. Now it might be a little difficult to change those 2 colors around, but I promise you, you will get used to doing that. And the only really uncomfortable thing that I find by changing those 2 colors around is that your 2 colors get twisted together, your 2 working tails like this. So once in a while you can stop and untangle them if that makes it easier for you. Okay, so this is my last double crochet before the next stitch marker. What I do suggest you put your work down and make sure that you have this kind of pattern going, so you did not make a mistake anywhere, because it is quite annoying to when you have to frog this row where you have the 2 colors. So make sure everything looks okay, and then take the stitch marker out. And we have 3 double crochets again into the next stitch where the stitch marker was. Halfway through, finish that. That's 1. Second double crochet into that same stitch, and the third one, just like that. Mark your second stitch from the hook, 1 and 2. And keep going, changing colors until you get to your third stitch marker. So exactly the same, just keep going. Now do 3 double crochets in the next stitch marker and right here. So exactly as we did here, everything else, and I'm going to meet you at the end of this row. So let us finish second row together. I have made my 4th corner. And then I keep going, swapping those 2 colors around. I am hoping that by now you have got the hang of the swapping them around. It is a little bit slower than just double crochets, but it does give it that nice look. Okay, so I have 3 stitches left, so 2 stitches, and 1 stitch. Now if you look, we have these chain 2 from the very first row, so you should be finishing your very last stitch. It should be the same color stitch as the color before. So you start with that color into that top of the chain 2 right here at the bottom. You go halfway through, you're gonna drop that color, your first color, and you finish that very last stitch with your second color. So I have my mint green. Now we're done with color number 1, so I'm done with the yellow color, I'm gonna cut it off. I'm gonna leave a nice long tail that it is easier for me to sew or to hide, because we are going to have to make a knot right there because there's nothing holding it at the moment. And everything should look a little bit like this. Now row number 3 will be a solid color row, so quite simple there. You keep the color number 2, you're going to chain 1 and turn. You put a double crochet back into that very first stitch, and then 1 double crochet into each stitch until you get to your stitch marker. Like this. Stitch marker out, 3 double crochets in that stitch where the stitch marker was. That's 1, that's 2, and that is 3 double crochets. Stitch marker back into the stitch number 2 from the hook. Stitch 1, stitch 2, like that. And continue on with 1 double crochet until you get to your next stitch marker. I'm gonna show you one more corner just in case. Now my next stitch has a marker in it. I'm gonna take that out and put 3 double crochets into that stitch. 1, 2, and 3. Mark the second stitch from the hook. 1, 2, and continue on with 1 double crochet into each stitch. Apart from the stitches that are marked, put 3 double crochets into each of them, and I'm gonna see you at the end of this row. So I am finishing row number 3. I have 1 more stitch left, and I just make a double crochet into that very last stitch. So your edge right here should be very nice and straight. Okay, so to start the next row, you're gonna chain 1 and turn. You should have your next color that you want to join in ready. So you're gonna yarn over, go into that very first stitch, 3 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, and stop. Now you're gonna grab your next color. I have got this bright pink right here ready that I'm gonna join in, and so you want the tail to leave the tail on the inside of your cardigan. Again, it's at the bottom as I'm holding it, and I'm just finishing that first double crochet in the new color, or in my third color. Yarn over, go over the 2 colors like this. I'm gonna drop my pink tail right here, and again finish that new color with the color that you had excuse me, before. And again we are swapping those 2 colors around. So you can see you have exactly the same as we did in row number 2. So row 4 is exactly the same. Once you get to your stitch marker, take that out again, put 3 double crochets into that marked stitch. So 1, 2, and 3 double crochets in that one stitch. Again, stitch marker into the second stitch, 1 and 2, and keep going, swapping the 2 colors around. Perhaps I will show you one more corner just in case. And just before the corner, I always like to check if I have not made any mistakes, so I don't have 2 double crochets in the same color next to each other, because this does happen once in a while. But this is all okay right now. So stitch marker out and 3 double crochets into that marked stitch. 1, 2, and 3. Mark your second stitch, 1, 2. Actually, those stitches that you always mark when you're doing the 2 color row are going to be in the color that you have just joined in. So I have in my pink ones. And then you just continue on, swapping them around. The 2 corners that are left are exactly the same as right here. And again, I'm gonna see you at the end of this row, and we will start the next one. We'll finish this one together and start the next one. And let's finish this row together. So your second last stitch should be in the color that you have just added. You finish that one with a new color or the previous color. Your very last stitch is the same color as the solid row color before, and you finish that stitch with the new color that you have added. Hopefully that makes sense to you. I can cut off my mint green. Again, I'm gonna leave a nice tail, so it's easier for me to hide that after that. And I will continue on with a solid row, which starts with chain 1, turn, and 1 double crochet into each stitch until you get to the stitch marker. Stitch marker out, 3 double crochets into that stitch that has been marked, 2 and 3. Mark stitch number 2 and continue on with 1 double crochet, and then 3 double crochets into your marked stitches. Just keep going, and I will see you at the end of this row. And I am finishing this solid row. I have 1 more stitch left. So right here, the very last stitch might sometimes be quite small. Make sure you do not forget about that one. So just like that, it has to be very nice and straight at the edge. I'm gonna chain 1 and start again. I'm gonna bring in a new color. So first of all, you start with the same color, your first double crochet, but you finish that with a new one. Into the next stitch, halfway through, and just like that, keep going. So you want to keep making your yoke until this measures the right length right here. It is easier for me to explain on how long your yoke should be once I have the yoke finished, and I can show you the whole measuring part. So I will keep going, switching up those 2 rows, putting in new colors, and I will see you when my yoke is done, and I will show you exactly what to measure and where to figure out when we can start connecting. Okay, so at this point I am ready to connect my yoke. There should not be a difference which row you are on. It is exactly the same. We come to our first stitch marker, we do a few chains, and we connect it with a double crochet on the other side. So it doesn't matter if you have to change your colors or you are on a solid row. Absolutely normal. Just keep going as usual. I will try to explain everything. Okay, so first of all, it does not matter how many rows you have. We need to meet a measurement right here, okay? So we are going to look up the yoke right here. So the yoke measurement, as you can see, it's different. It's a half a centimeter difference in between all sizes. So as I'm making 3 to 6 months, my yoke should be approximately 11 centimeters long. You look up yours, whichever size you are making. So 11 centimeters for me. Now grab your measuring tape, and you are going to measure. Don't pull on it, just flatten it down. You're gonna measure from top to bottom to where your stitch marker is. As you can see, I am at 10 centimeters. I need 11. But when we are connecting our yoke right here, when we're making the next row, there will be a double crochet there, which is about 1.5 centimeters long. So this line is going to extend approximately another 1 centimeter. So when I make that double crochet, I will be at or a little bit over my measurement. So just over 11 centimeters. You look up the same. You should be approximately 1 or 1.5 centimeters shorter than the measurement that you need to be at. So as you can see, I am at 10. There will be a double crochet which will extend it over the 11. It can be longer, no problem than that, but you cannot go any shorter than that measurement, because otherwise that part under the armpit is going to be a little bit too high. Okay, so we have this ready right here. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. I will show you another trick that you can make sure that you do reach your measurement after we start the next row and connect. Now, one more thing before we start connecting. Right here, we need to see our chest measurement. So chest for the finished cardigan, so 46, 48, 50 or 52 centimeters depending on what size you're making. I am making a 3 to 6 months size, so 48 centimeters in total all the way around. But as we are only going to measure the back, okay, so these are the sleeves and this is the back, we only need a half of this measurement. So I'm going to divide that into 2. So 48 divided into 2 is 24 centimeters. Measure again. I'm not gonna pull on it. Just measure from one stitch marker to another. I am at 21 centimeters. So I am 3 centimeters. Oh, excuse me. Yes, I need to be at 24. So I'm 3 centimeters short. Now I'm going to measure out with the double crochets that I have made in the previous row. How many double crochets fit into that 3 centimeters? So you can see I have placed it at the beginning of one of the double crochets. And I'm going to see. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4.5. As we need an odd number, I'm going to go into the bigger side. So 5 double crochets. Okay. So I need 3 centimeters. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I'm going to have 5 chains underneath each armhole. Now, if you ended up counting that you need more than 5, it has to be an odd number. So 1, 3, 5, or 7. If you get to do 7 chains, what you can do, instead of doing 7 underneath right here, we're going to have 1 double crochet right here, okay? So you can swap 1 chain for an extra double crochet into that corner right here and to that one right here. So instead of doing 7 chains, you can do 2 double crochets, 5 chains, 2 double crochets. You're just swapping 1 chain for an extra double crochet here and another chain for an extra double crochet in this side, because more than 5 chains is a little bit too much. Hopefully that makes sense. But I need to do 5 chains underneath each armhole right here. Again, remember, it has to be an odd number. Now I am on the row where I'm changing those colors together. So I'm gonna chain 1. I'm gonna start making a double crochet in the beginning. If you're on solid color row, just keep going, 1 double crochet into each stitch, unless you need to swap a chain for a double crochet right here. Now I am going back to yellow color again. So again, I'm gonna leave the tail on the inside of the cardigan. I'm gonna finish this double crochet with a new color, and again I just keep swapping those 2 colors around until I get to where my stitch marker is. Now I am at my stitch marker, so the next stitch is marked. I am going to start my double crochet. I finished that with another color. Now remember, if you need an extra double crochet here to swap for one of the chains underneath the armhole, you just make another one into that same place. I do not need that. I am going to start chaining now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now I'm going to carry that purple color like this on to the next stitch marker right here. I don't want to make it very tight, so I'm just gonna leave it as it is. And I need to have a purple double crochet. If you finish with a purple and you're changing colors, on any color, you need to have the same color in the other side. So I'm just going to yarn over with the purple, go into the marked stitch, start my purple, and finish it with the yellow. I hope that makes sense. Let me show you again. So I need to have the same color on the other side where the stitch marker is. I'm just yarning over with purple, go into that stitch, pull it out, and finish it with the yellow. And then continue on changing your colors or doing doing your solid color, whatever you are doing, until you get to your next stitch marker. So this is one of the harder places if you are doing your color changes. That is exactly why I picked this size, because I knew I would end up doing color changes when I need to connect, just so I can show you how to do them. So keep going. If you're on solid, do 1 double crochet into each stitch. I'll see you at the next stitch marker. I am at the next stitch marker, as you can see right here. Again, into the stitch where the stitch marker is, I finish it with another color, like that. Again, remember, whatever you did on one side, you have to do exactly the same on the other side. So I'm going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm bringing the purple color on top. Make sure you're not pulling it too tight. So it has to be approximately the same length as your chain. So you're not, if you leave this too short, it will be squeezing your chest. So you just leave it approximately the same length as the chain. Now, once you have chained, again, you need to start after the stitch marker into the next stitch marker with the same color as you finished right here. So I'm gonna yarn over, go into where the stitch marker is. Sorry, need to go onto that color. I'm gonna crochet on top of the yellow. Catch your yarn, pull it out. You have 2 loops. Pull through 2 and finish it off with the other color. So you kind of have this thread coming from one side to another. Do not worry, we will crochet over that in the next row, and you just keep going until you finish this row. So that is one of the harder parts. It will again be a little bit harder once we do the sleeves. Other than that, it will be straight lines to crochet. We will keep the same pattern going, but we do not have corners anymore, so we will just have to crochet straight lines. It's a little bit easier and a little bit quicker, so we won't have to stop at the stitch markers anymore. Okay, so we are finishing this row. And again, I'm finishing the very last double crochet with the color that I'm gonna carry on to the next row. I'm finished with the purple. I'm gonna cut that off. And then I am on my solid row. Now, if you have this row to do the color changes, just do the color changes. Once you get into the chains right here, you just keep changing your colors, imagining that every chain is a stitch, so exactly the same, only you put your double crochets into the chains, and you keep changing your colors. I am on a solid color, so I'm gonna chain 1, turn around, and start doing my double crochets. 1 double crochet into each stitch, and I'm gonna come back once I get to those chains, and we're gonna see what we're gonna do right there. Now I have 1 more stitch left right here, just a double crochet, and then my chains are starting. Now I do have this little thread right here, which I'm going to crochet over. I'm just gonna put it on top of those chains, and I'm just gonna, when I will be catching a chain, I will be catching it with a thread on top of my hook like this. So I'm gonna yarn over, go into the chain, and make your double crochets. If you're changing your colors, you keep doing your changes no matter what, and you should have the same amount of double crochets as you had your chains. I had 5 chains, so I get 5 extra double crochets underneath this armhole right here. So as you can see, this is a stitch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All my chains have been crocheted into, and then you continue on with 1 double crochet into each stitch till the end of this row. So keep going, I will see you there. We will start the next row together, and then we will talk about the hoodie length. Now I have finished this row. I am going to do my color change row. So again, all the rows start and finish exactly the same as we did right here, apart. We do not have these corners anymore with stitch markers. We just go back and forth, building up the length of our hoodie. So again, exactly the same to do the color changes. At this point, you should have an odd number of stitches. That's you need an odd number so that your beginning stitch and your very last stitch are in the same color. So when you're doing the color changes, your first stitch and your very last one right here are going to be exactly the same color. Now, next up, let us have a talk about how long our hoodie should be. Now, I base most of my cardigans on the sleeve length, the length of the hoodie itself. So let's see, sleeve length, okay? So for 0 to 3 months, 15 centimeters in sleeve length. 3 to 6 months, 16 centimeters in sleeve length. 17 and a half and 18 and a half. So let's have a look. So for me, it is 16 centimeters in length. Now, when I will be measuring for the hoodie length, I am measuring from underneath the armhole, so from right here. So the total length will be up to here. So when I will be making, I want my hoodie to finish approximately right here. Now the next thing is that we do have a little bit of an edging on the bottom. So if I measure that, it adds approximately 3 centimeters in length. So the bottom 3 centimeters will be this ribbing right here. Oh, excuse me, not ribbing, edging. So from the total of my 16 centimeters in length, I am gonna leave the last 3. So 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna leave for the edging right here. So for now, I will keep going until it measures 13, and the last 3 will be added once we do the edging. I'm hoping that makes sense to you. This really should. Just leave the last 3 for the edging. So I will keep going with the same pattern, changing up my colors until I get to approximately 13 centimeters, and then this will be my edging. So for now, keep going. I will see you at the bottom once we meet the length minus 3 centimeters. Okay, and so I have finished the length of my hoodie. It does measure approximately 13 centimeters in length, and the last 3 are going to cover the full length. Now, the one thing that I really like to do is when I am working with something that has a lot of tails, once I finish a part, let's say this is the main part of the cardigan or the hoodie, I just like to get rid of those tails. So I have most of them sewn in. I just want to show you how to do some of them. So this is going to be the inside of your hoodie. If you look, you're starting the tail from your starting chain should be under your right hand. If you need to, you can always, you know, mark that this is the right side of your hoodie. Otherwise, you might end up doing the sleeves the other way than I will be doing, okay? So this is the right side where your tail is under your right hand. So the other side, or you can actually look up that your tails would be inside of your cardigan. Okay, so none of our tails at this moment have a knot. So as you can see, I'm just gonna go in higher up to that same color. So I'm gonna go in through the middle of a stitch. My needle is not coming out the other on the other side. Just gonna pull that out like this. Now I'm going to make a little knot right here. So I'm gonna go under the same color stitch like this. I'm gonna keep the loop, go back in through that loop, and pull tight like this. So I have a knot, and now I'm just gonna hide in between the same color stitches. That's it, that is done. I'm gonna show you another one. So again, as you can see, I am at a bottom here, so I'm gonna go in through that stitch into the top, so I come to the bottom of the same color row. I'm gonna go back in, come back through that loop and make a knot and just hide that tail. That's it, that is done. Now at the very bottom one, I don't really have the same color to hide, so I am just going to make a knot at the bottom here straight away. I'm gonna go in through the stitch and up, and I will crochet over that tail when I'm doing the edging. I'm just gonna leave that right here. On the other side, you should have your tails right at the side, okay? And this is the very last stitch that I have made. I have just chained one and cut off my yarn. Just gonna pull that out again. I'm gonna crochet over it when I'm doing the edge. Now the two bottom ones that I still have, so these are completely on the side of the cardi. I'm just gonna go in between those stitches again, up. I'm not gonna pull too tight because that might just shorten my edge. Just bring it up and again make a knot and just hide those tails. And one more. So again, and I do recommend to hide those tails so they're not flying around and work looks nicer. Okay, so the next thing that we are going to do is we're going to start on the hood. So starting the hood, we will start in the corner under our left hand right here, and we have to do the the row with the color changes. So again, make sure that you are on the right side of the cardi. So my color is yellow, and if I look above what I did underneath, I have purple. So I'm going to use the same colors, the same color pattern going up. So I have purple above yellow, so this is a mix of yellow and purple for me. So make a slip knot, go into that very corner right here, attach your color, chain 1 and start your first double crochet. Don't finish that one because we are starting to change colors straight away. Okay, so where's the end? Right here. And I finish that with purple. Go into the next stitch, so you're gonna have these leftover stitches from the starting chain. Just go into each of them. Drop the tail. I have 2 tails right now, so change, and keep going until you come to this corner right here at the back of the hood. So I got to the back of the hood right here, and as you can see, this is the corner stitch from the very first row, and I'm gonna put 2 double crochets into that stitch because we will have to do a little bit of increasing because at this moment our hood should be a little small. So another one into that same stitch. You can see I have 2 in there, and keep going with 1 double crochet into each stitch until you get to the next corner, which is right here. I am at the other corner at the back right here. Again, I'm gonna put 2 double crochets in there. That's 1 and another one. That is 2, and then you keep going with 1 double crochet until you come to this corner right here. And your very last stitch should be the same color as you have started on the other side, so yellow for me. So first one's yellow and the last one is yellow, and I just finish it off with the color that I'm carrying on to the next row. So I'm carrying on my purple. I'm gonna cut off my yellow. I do not need this anymore. I'm finished with that. Again, I'm leaving generous tails. It will make it easier for me to hide them after. Now, one thing that we want to do is, because we're gonna have to increase our hood a little bit, because it should be a little bit small right now, we need to measure it and see how much we have to increase. Okay, so I have just written down, so this one is right here. This is how wide your hood should be at this moment. Okay, so 3 to 6 months, 29 centimeters from the first stitch of the hood to the very last one. So 29 for me, so 28, 29, 31 or 34 centimeters. So I'm just gonna give it a quick measure, and I am at 27 and a half, so I at least need to do another 2 increases. The increases are easiest to do on the solid row colors, in a solid color rows. I'll just do 2 double crochets into 1 stitch on one side and 2 double crochets on the other side again, and I'll measure when I finish the row. If I'm still short, the next time I do the solid color row, I'll do another increase until I reach my 29 centimeters. Now, one thing that you have to have in mind, that your hood might still look a little bit small. Now, this measurement does not take this edge right here into consideration. So once you finish your hood with the length that I've written down here, it's gonna add up another little bit once we do the edging around the hood. So just so you don't think that it is too small. Okay, so solid color, chain 1 and turn, and I'm just gonna pick 2 stitches somewhere closer to the back in the same color that I'm using now, so a purple stitch from previous row, just a little bit further away from the front. So probably the next purple stitch, so around here somewhere, and I'm gonna put 2 double crochets in it, one and the second one, so that is 1 increase, and I'll keep going. I'll do another increase somewhere closer to the other side. Now one thing you have to remember is if you do increasing, you have to do 2 increases, just so that we stay on an odd number of stitches, just because we have an odd number. Now if you do 1 increase, you will end up with an even number of stitches, and then when you will do the row of changing colors, you will end up with starting in one color, first stitch will be one color and your last stitch will be different color, so we don't want that. So when you increase, just do even number of increases. So a little bit further on, and I'll do another increase. So maybe the next one then. Right here again, I'm gonna put 2 double crochets in it, 1 and 2, and just keep going. Finish this row with 1 double crochet into each stitch. Okay, so I have finished this row, and I'm gonna give it a quick measure. Again, I'm looking for approximately 29 centimeters right here. Lay it down flat. I am at 29 centimeters. I do not need to do any more increasing. If you need to do that again, the next time you do a solid color row, again do 2 increases until you reach approximately one of these lengths, whichever size that you are making. For me, it is finished. I do not need to do any more increasing. I will just keep going with the pattern. I will join in my pink now. There's nothing special about making the hood. It's exactly the same as we have done before. We just keep changing our colors. Again. So keep going. Now we need to build up on the length of the hood. Let me just finish that one. Right. Okay, so how long should our hood be? I have a chart right here. And hood height. So this measurement right here for the age. So for the 0 to 3 months, the hood height should be approximately 19 centimeters, 3 to 6 months, 20 centimeters, 6 to 9 months, 22, and 9 to 12 months, 23 centimeters. Now, when we are measuring the hood of our, the height of our hood, we will measure from the row that we have just, the very first row where we have started the hood. So for me, it is the mix of yellow and purple, and I will be measuring like this, and I will keep going until I reach my 20 centimeters in length. I have approximately 3 right now. I need 20. Now, I will be finishing part 1 right here. If you want to do a little bit of decreasing at the very top right here to take away that sharp corner, you need to keep going until you have approximately 2 rows left. Okay, so we will do some decreasing in the last 2 rows. That's what takes off that very sharp edge. Now, if you want to, it is a little bit more difficult, especially in the row with the color changes, but I will show that whole thing to you. So you keep going. If you want to do the decreasing on the hood, so if you have 20 in total, right, just like me, you leave the last 2 rows. You just measure out 2 rows right here. How much length do they give you? And they give me approximately 2.5, maybe 3 centimeters, somewhere like that. So I will be going until I am approximately 17.5 centimeters in length that I have, and the last 2 rows right here I will do some decreasing. So like I said, I'm finishing part 1 right now, and we will see you in part 2. I will have 2 rows left to finish my hood. I will show you how to do the decreasing. We will connect that, then we will do the edging around, and we will start on the sleeves. Like I said, the sleeves are the hardest part, but I will try to be as slow as I can, and I will try to show you everything that you need to see very well. For now, you just keep going, build up that hood, and I will see you in part 2. I hope that everything was clear and understandable. I hope you all the best, and I will see you in the next part. Bye.